The results completely shocked me. I built a machine learning model to analyze the MVP results of the NBA in 2024. So stay tuned, because in this video I'm going to reveal what the machine learning model said about who really should have won the 2024 MVP. The person who the media picked, of course, was Nikola Jokic. And did they pick correctly? Well, we'll find out. But here's what we do know. As the MVP winner in the regular season, he put up 26.4 points per game, 12.4 total rebounds, 9 assists, 1.4 steals, 0.9 blocks, and only 3 turnovers. He would shoot 63% from 2 and 37% from 3 and 81% from the free throw line. No doubt, Nikola Jokic had a great season, and his team essentially tied for the best record in the West. But the person that a lot of people are saying really should have deserved to win the MVP this year was actually SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He ended up coming in second place, and his team was number 1 in the Western Conference. And this is what he averaged during the regular season: 30.1 points per game, 5.5 total rebounds, 6.2 assists, 2.0 steals, 0.9 blocks, and 2.2 turnovers. He would shoot 57% from 2, 36% from 3, and 87% from the free throw line. And the thing that's crazy is the Oklahoma City Thunder came out of nowhere in 2024. They had been in the dumps in the years leading up to the 2024 season, and suddenly they were first in the Western Conference, something that really surprised a lot of people, and more reason to put him as potentially the frontrunner for the MVP. Of course, these two weren't the only two being considered for the MVP in 2024. We also have Luka Doncic, and he was putting up more insane numbers, though his team didn't rank quite as high. He averaged 33.9 points per game, 9.2 total rebounds, 9.8 assists per game, 1.4 steals, 0.5 blocks, and 4.0 turnovers. He would shoot 56% from 2, 38% from 3, while attempting almost 11 per game, and 78% from the free throw line. So those were the 3 players in 2024 competing for an MVP, but ultimately the decision comes down to the media. So this is where the machine learning model comes in. This model analyzes all of the patterns of the previous MVP years to determine whether or not the media was biased. In other words, it will help us determine if the media went outside of their normal criteria to select an MVP. And the annoying thing is we know that they've done this. They tend to favor storylines. They tend to favor individual players that they like for whatever reason. And although it doesn't happen every year, they do from time to time step outside of the more objective ways to determine an MVP to favor some kind of storyline.
It doesn't go to the best player. It goes to the guy who had the best regular season.
Well, you know what? Don't name him most valuable player then.
No.
And so the question is, did they do that here? And frankly, since I've done this analysis many times and based on the stats, I hypothesized that the media more or less got this one right. I mean, how could they not? Nikola Jokic has won 2 MVPs in the past, was putting up just as good of numbers as he has in the past, and his team was tied for the best record compared to the other 2 players that were also being considered for the MVP, namely SGA and Luka Doncic. And technically, the Oklahoma City Thunder had the tiebreaker, so yes, the Denver Nuggets were actually the 3 seed in the playoffs. But no more surprises, this is what the model said. It said that if the media were consistent in picking the MVP from year to year and didn't have this bias, that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have won the 2024 MVP of the NBA. Honestly, I was super surprised that SGA should have won the MVP. Now, granted, this decision, according to the model, was so razor thin that it could go either way, but ultimately it leaned on SGA and picked SGA.
Based on everybody's criteria, my criteria, stat stuffer, you guys' criteria, number 1 seed, which team has a better record, I felt Shai Alexander deserved it.
See, when I heard Shaquille O'Neal complaining that SGA did not win the MVP this year, I thought he didn't have much to go off of because, I mean, he had a good year, but Nikola Jokic his numbers are insane. But when you put everything into a machine learning model, when you put in all of their team stats, when you put in all of their stats, all the advanced stats, everything you can think of, the model comes out and says that SGA had a better case for the MVP this year. So why did the media pick Nikola Jokic? I don't know. That's a question you're going to ask them. So now that we know that Shaquille O'Neal was correct in saying that SGA should have won the MVP in 2024, the question remains, Is he correct about his own MVPs that he lost to Steve Nash? Well, to find that out, you're going to have to check out this other video where I run the same analysis comparing the MVP in the 2005 season.